cost of the training?
The manuals, and I unfortunately do not have a new manual with me. We just got new manuals. Every participant gets a manual, and the manuals are pretty in-depth. Okay, the new ones don't have the fancy artwork. They have just people art, art, but the manuals are $10 each, and so you can pays for that, and sometimes they charge people for that or not. The cost is kind of an issue we're still figuring out, as we're the state, and so we can't just charge people to do things like that. Individual providers, they feel like we're just doing this as a community service. Others are saying, wow, this took out 12 hours of my clinical time, so how do I make up for that? And so, and I don't know if Kim and Lori have any talk to you about stipends, or if they feel like they were going to ask for more reimbursement, if it's just part of their job and they're just going to do it, or however they want to do it.
Yeah, I think public health is incorporating that into their budget.
So every agency, I would say, does it a little differently. We provided it at a mental health center in Creston. Iowa Department of Public Health, through their Division of Behavioral Health, also has 3 trainers, and they've gone around to primarily substance abuse facilities and provided the training, and they also do it free of charge. And so for the people out there, private individuals who've gone through the training, we just encourage them to do it for as low cost as possible. But the most, if the state were doing it, it would be just the cost of the manuals, and we may be able, at some point, we hope to have funding to actually have the manuals paid for as well, where it would be free. So, like I said, we really want to see the people who've gone through the training and get out and get the practice. And for them, the instructors have to do 3 trainings a year in order to keep their certification current. So we want them not getting those scheduled and doing them. Like I said, when it's somebody from your area, they're going to know the resources better and know better, the individual things about that certain area that are different than another area. Anything else?
So the trainers are certified to do the training?
Yes.
So is there a process for training trainers?
Yeah, I think you might have corrected me.
Sorry about
okay.
that.
It's a week-long course, and it's offered only through the National Council for Community Behavioral Health out of Washington, D.C. They own the rights to mental health first aid for the United States, and so only they can certify the instructors. And so the people who are instructors are going through a week-long course in teaching the class and learning how to present the material. And so it's kind of, I don't want to say rigid, but you really have to present it as it is in the model. You have a PowerPoint. And of course you add in different things in terms of what the group you're talking to. If you're talking to a group of substance abuse providers, they're going to have more questions about that. So there's more, it's different. Every training is different, but the same basic information is always the same.
How did the school, you said there were a couple of the schools that were doing it. Who are they going to train? Mainly their counselors? Or?
Southeast Polk Schools sent 2 school nurses and a teacher through the instructor program in the summer. And I don't know, Southeast Polk Schools is a pretty large district just outside of Des Moines. I don't know if you've heard of it or not, but they had a cluster of suicides last year. So they had, I want to say, 4 teenagers complete suicides within about a year's time. And so they really started doing a lot of different things within that community to address mental health, to address how they're interacting with kids, to make sure that they're not missing any signs, and just to give their staff and teachers something, to use, another tool to use when they're working with parents and children. And so they're training teachers, they're training everybody. And again, this is a course that if you're offering it in a school, it could be offered to the person who serves lunch, to the secretary, to anybody. It's not anything that's strictly limited to the teachers or the professionals by any means. And if you've ever worked in a school, you know that the lunch lady and the secretary know everything about everything. I've worked in schools for a long time doing school-based mental health, so
That's who they talk to.
and they hear things. They hear things. They hear the kids talking, and they sometimes don't always know what to do about it. And sometimes the kids do tell them things directly. So, and also dealing with the parents who may have mental health issues going on. So the frontline people sometimes are just as important. The secretaries, the administrative assistants who are at the desk and who are interacting with people. Anything else you can? Questions? Let's see if I can. Talks a little bit on the second page. These are actual slides from the mental health first aid and the parts about suicide. I just included those so that you can kind of see what kind of information is included in the training. But it's pretty specific about suicide and how to interact with people who may be having a mental health or a suicidal crisis. And talks about what not to do as well as what to do. And that's something we spend a lot of time on in the training. What to do as well as things not to do that can make the situation worse. But things that sometimes we do because we are in denial or we don't want to hear our child or our loved one saying, I'm thinking about killing myself. And we say, no, you're not. And so, because that's, we don't want to hear that. And sometimes that's what the person hears is, you don't want to hear what I have to say, even though it's really serious and it's really scary and it needs to be talked about. So we talk a lot about that. And anyway, these are the action steps, and I wanted to include that just so you can kind of see it's pretty concrete. Here's what you do, here's what you don't do, here's how you do it, kind of program.
Does the course include activities where they actually kind of role play and they try out
Yes. Yes.
doing the mental health?
Yes. We do a lot of practicing of the algae, of the 5 steps. We do role plays around how to work with somebody who's having a panic attack, how to interact with them. There are also movies. There are 3 video clips that are included within the training that really demonstrate a lot of what we're talking about and how one is on depression, one is on anxiety and anxiety-related disorders, and the other one is on psychosis. And the psychosis film is actually an Australian film, and they Americanized the other videos, but everybody liked the Australian one so much we just kept the Australian one, so we have that one Australian piece left. But
The accent.
and the things they say about just their little way of talking. But what they do, they act out 2 neighbors interacting with a neighbor who's having a psychotic break, and what they do, and so they really show the wrong things to do, the right things to do, and it's just a very powerful example of what it might look like if your neighbor becomes very paranoid and is not coming out of his house, and what you might do to interact and how to do it safely. And we talk a lot about safety, that you don't go in the house with the person if it appears that they're having those kind of, you get them outside, or you go in with somebody else, just kind of common sense things, but so that it's not about rushing in to save that person. It's making sure that the situation is safe and then intervening appropriately. So the movies help a lot with demonstrating what we're talking about, and then we also do role plays as well, and some interactive and small group role plays, and then large group role plays, and things like that.
If we wanted to try to schedule this type of training, then we would contact like Patrick or...
You can contact Patrick, you can contact Lori and Kim in Humboldt. Those would be your 2 closest. There's people. We also have 2 trainers in Potawatomi County through the CTC office there. 2 of their case managers, I believe, Shelley and I can't remember the other person's name, went through the training in June. So they're also, they're a little bit farther away, I suppose.
Yeah, Patrick and I have talked about after the first of the year trying to get together and put a training together somewhere.